Monday in Los Angeles, and the glamour cracks wide open. A day that was supposed to be quiet turns into a full-blown meltdown as Bridget drops a bomb so explosive it nearly detonates the entire Spencer estate from the inside out. The DNA test is in. And it's not just a paternity reveal. It's a character assassination disguised as medical science. Bridget, professional to the end but clearly unnerved, stands before the Spencer family like a surgeon about to make an incision that can't be reversed. The tension is radioactive. Bill, Liam, Wyatt, they're all there, circling her like gamblers about to see the final card. But this isn't a game. This is blood, legacy, identity, and depending on the results, somebody's about to find out they're not just a Spencer. They're about to be a father to a child conceived under conditions no one wants to talk about. And then she says it. Bridget lays it bare. The DNA test shows a match. Will Spencer is the father of Luna's unborn child. Silence. Reality hits like a semi-truck. Will, barely past his teenage years, barely navigating his own future, now faces a permanent, gut-wrenching detour. College? Gone. Parties? Over. Career dreams? Irrelevant. All wiped clean by a single night he doesn't even remember. Drugged and violated by a woman he thought he could trust. The room implodes. Katie nearly collapses. Bill goes ice cold. Wyatt and Liam can't believe what they're hearing. The Spencer men, normally so composed, spiral in a dozen different directions at once, each trying to grasp what this means. Not just for Will, but for their entire family line. And Will? He stares into nothing, face pale, jaw clenched, crushed under the weight of the future no one prepared him for. But Bridget's not done. She cautions the family, this test confirms paternity, yes, but it also opens a legal nightmare. Because Luna is still under investigation. And now it's confirmed, the child she's carrying was conceived through a non-consensual act. That changes everything, not just emotionally, but legally. Suddenly, custody is on the table. Victim protection laws kick in. And worst of all, the press is circling like vultures, already sensing blood. Katie breaks first. Her maternal instincts roar to life and she demands justice. Not just for Will, but for the unborn child. She wants Luna arrested, tried, locked up, anything to prevent further harm. Bill is more surgical. He wants damage control, media blackout, legal leverage, total shutdown. But Will? He doesn't speak. He just walks out. The weight too much. The betrayal too deep. But just when the family thinks the storm can't get worse, sirens. Sheriff Baker pulls up to the Spencer estate with a warrant in hand. No more delays. No more safe harbor. Luna's luxury lockdown is over. She's going in, finally, after months of living like a queen in one of Bill's many oceanfront properties. Private chefs, personal pools, marble bathrooms, God-tier Wi-Fi. Luna is about to trade all of it for a metal bunk and fluorescent lighting. The irony is suffocating. This is the same woman who confessed to 2 murders, faked her own death, drugged a teenage boy, and somehow still managed to lounge around Beverly Hills like it was a paid vacation. She treated Bill's mansion like a resort package, strolling through her post-crime paradise with not a shred of remorse. Until now. Because now, Bridget's test has sealed the deal, and the badge on Baker's chest means the 5-star fantasy is officially dead. Baker doesn't even flinch. He walks in, reads her the charges, and the room freezes. Luna, dressed in silk and still sipping imported tea, tries to maintain her composure. But the second those handcuffs snap shut, the illusion shatters. She's not a misunderstood genius. She's not a framed victim. She's a criminal, being escorted off the premises like yesterday's trash. Her eyes dart around the room for support. There is none. Bill doesn't speak. Katie can barely look at her. Even the staff step back. Her reign is over. They walk her out past the infinity pool, past the manicured gardens, past the private security detail that once called her Miss. And just like that, the villa empties. Her presence is gone. But the damage remains. Will returns hours later, silent. He doesn't ask questions. Doesn't want a recap. The truth is already a curse he'll carry for the rest of his life. His name is now in a legal file as both a victim and a father. And the mother of his child is in custody, facing trial for not just sexual assault, but multiple counts of murder. Meanwhile, Bridget retreats to the hospital, emotionally exhausted but satisfied she did her job. The truth was brutal, but it was necessary. Still, the questions linger. If Will is the father, why target him specifically? Why drug him? Why fake a death and reappear with no plan other than chaos? Unless Luna's motives go deeper. What if Will wasn't the only possible father? What if Luna had a backup plan? Another victim? Another layer to her manipulation that hasn't yet come to light? Bridget's mind races, retracing every file, every signature, every line of DNA. Something still doesn't add up. The timeline, the dosage, the cover story. It's too clean, too scripted, which means there might be more to come. Back at the precinct, Luna finally faces the concrete reality she tried to outrun. No more designer pillows. No more spa days. Just cold walls and colder stares. Inmates don't care about your side of the story. Guards don't care how famous your victim's father is. And no one's buying her innocence anymore. Sheriff Baker prepares the paperwork. The DA wants her arraigned within 48 hours. And the media is already lighting up with headlines. Heiress killer caught. Spencer scandal goes nuclear. Teen dad trapped in high society. Nightmare. Katie, finally able to breathe, breaks down in Bill's arms. She never wanted this for Will. No one did, but justice, however delayed, is finally showing signs of life. For once the system worked, barely, slowly but decisively. Luna's arrest sends a signal. Actions have consequences, even for those living in velvet cages. But the story isn't over. Because paternity was just step one. Now comes the custody war. The courtroom drama. The trial of the century. Luna's defense team will argue mental instability, frame up jobs, consent gray areas. They'll try to drag the Spencers through the mud, weaponizing wealth against them. Meanwhile, Bill will mobilize every lawyer in Los Angeles to ensure Luna never sees freedom. Or her child. Again, Will, caught in the middle, faces a life he never asked for. A father before he could drink legally. A survivor of assault in a world that still doesn't know how to process male victims. And soon, a key witness in a case that could define public conversation for months. And through it all, the looming question, who is this child going to become? Born into scandal. Conceived in violence. Raised in the shadow of betrayal. Unless another twist rewrites the entire script, again. Because with Luna, nothing stays simple for long. And in Los Angeles, the bold and the beautiful never means quiet and peaceful. It means war. Sheila stood in the doorway of Il Giardino, frozen. Her breath caught mid-exhale. Her fingers tightening around the edge of the brick wall like she could squeeze it into dust. There, just beyond the patio lights, partially shielded by the outdoor canopy, Deacon was holding Taylor. Not a casual hug. Not a friendly gesture. No, this was something intimate. Her arms around his waist, his hand lingering at her back longer than it should have. And then he said it, he whispered, but not low enough. Sheila heard him. I need you. The words detonated like a bomb inside her chest. Not thank you. Not I appreciate your help. Not I'm glad you're here. No, he said need. A word Sheila didn't share. A word she reserved for people she couldn't breathe without. She'd fought for Deacon, killed for him, changed for him, or at least tried. And now here he was, clinging to another woman like she was the oxygen he couldn't live without. Sheila didn't move. She didn't cry. Her emotions calcified into something sharper, deadlier. That's how it always started. Not with a scream, but with a silence. A pause where she calculated, evaluated, and then struck. Inside the restaurant, Deacon released Taylor, unaware that his moment of honesty had already lit the fuse of something far more dangerous. Taylor, to her credit, pulled back first. Her expression was unreadable, professional concern tangled with something undeniably personal. She'd been here before, on the edge of involvement, telling herself she was just being supportive. Just helping. Just doing her job. But that line? The one between compassion and connection? It had vanished weeks ago. Deacon had started coming to her for clarity, for guidance, for comfort. And at first, she convinced herself it was clinical. Ethical. She was helping a man trapped between loyalty and toxicity. But somewhere between the late-night calls and the quiet conversations over coffee, she saw him change. He stopped defending Sheila. He started questioning everything. And Taylor she stopped pulling away. Now she felt it too. The shift. And it terrified her. Across the city, Sheila sat in her car. Engine off. Staring at the dashboard like it might give her answers. Her mind raced, images flashing like broken film reels, Deacon kissing her. Deacon forgiving her. Deacon promising forever. Now Deacon whispering that he needs someone else. No, this wasn't over. She wasn't going to lose him to Taylor Hayes of all people. The shrink. The do-gooder. The woman who once tried to destroy her in court, in therapy, in life. No, Sheila wasn't just jealous, she was livid. But rage without strategy was weakness. And Sheila Carter didn't do weak. She needed to make a move. Something sharp, surgical. Not loud. Not violent, yet. Something that would force Deacon to choose. Publicly. Permanently. And more than that, she needed to force Taylor into a corner too. If the good doctor wanted to keep playing support system, she'd have to deal with consequences that felt more like war than therapy. The next morning, Deacon arrived at Il Giardino early. He looked exhausted. He hadn't slept. Taylor's hug still lingered on his skin like a ghost. He wasn't ashamed of what he felt, he couldn't be. With Taylor, things felt clear. Quiet, like maybe he could rebuild something normal. But he hadn't told Sheila. And now, the guilt had started creeping in. Like mold on the walls of a house he'd been trying to restore. He didn't have to wait long. Sheila walked in, looking like nothing had happened. That was the danger. When she was calm, she was planning. She kissed him like always, but her eyes didn't match the smile. "We need to talk," she said. Not a suggestion, a command. They sat in the back room. She didn't waste time. "I saw you with Taylor," she said. "I heard you say you needed her." Deacon froze. He didn't deny it. Sheila continued, tone eerily flat. "I want you to tell me what that meant." He tried to explain. "I've been lost. I've been confused. Taylor's helped me see things more clearly. That doesn't mean I don't care about you. But it means you don't need me," she cut in. Steel behind her words. "You needed her. That's not confusion, Deacon. That's a choice." He stayed silent. That silence was the choice. She nodded slowly, as if confirming her worst fear. "So that's it?" she asked. "Everything I've done for you. Everything we've been through. And you're just walking away because drive. Taylor Hayes listens better than I do?" "She didn't kill people to get close to me," he snapped. Regretting it immediately. Sheila's face twitched just once. Then it smoothed back into calm. "Then you've made your choice," she said. "And now I get to make mine." Deacon knew what that meant. But he didn't stop her. And that was another choice. Taylor, meanwhile, sensed the shift before it happened. She felt it in the silence between texts. In the way Deacon's voice sounded more afraid than conflicted. She also felt the weight of her own hypocrisy. She was no longer a neutral party. Her personal investment had crossed the line. As a doctor, she had guidelines, boundaries. But she'd ignored them. She let her emotions blur the lines because she believed she could help him. Now, Sheila was in motion. And Taylor wasn't just a therapist anymore. She was a target. Within 24 hours, Sheila had done what she always did: dig, twist, weaponize. She showed up at Taylor's office with a file in hand, real documents, private records. Not forged, not fake, just deeply personal, evidence of Taylor's past mistakes, an old patient complaint buried years ago. Something that could easily be misunderstood if broadcast to the press. And Sheila knew exactly how to leak it. "This is your warning," she said. "Stay away from Deacon. Stay out of our lives. Or the past you buried will rise again." Taylor, rattled but not surprised, stood her ground. "Threatening me won't bring him back." Sheila leaned closer. "No, but exposing you will keep him from trusting you. And that's all I need." And with that, she walked out. That night, Deacon called Taylor. He wanted to explain, apologize, ask if she was okay. But Taylor didn't answer. She couldn't, because every line had now been crossed. Professional, emotional, legal. She had let herself care. And now she was in the middle of a minefield. The next morning, the file Sheila had threatened with appeared online. A gossip blog, barely credible but fast. The headline screamed, "Taylor Hayes. Past scandal resurfaces in Spencer Triangle drama." The article quoted anonymous sources and leaked hospital records. The damage was immediate. Patients canceled appointments. The board requested a review. And Deacon? He saw it all unfold and realized Sheila wasn't going to let go quietly. He confronted her that night. "You leaked her file." She crossed a line. "No," he said. "You did." Again. Sheila didn't care. "You're still here, Deacon. So either stop pretending you're not mine, or get out of my life." He left. Now, Sheila stood alone, fury simmering beneath a tight smile. Deacon was gone. Taylor's career was hanging by a thread. But the game wasn't over. Not yet. Because Sheila didn't lose. She adapted. And if she couldn't have Deacon's love, she'd settle for destroying everything he reached for after her. Deacon, now cut off from both women, found himself in exile. A man without a home, without peace. He'd tried to do the right thing, tried to walk away clean. But nothing in his world ever stayed clean for long. Taylor, under fire, prepared her statement to the board, refusing to let Sheila define her. She wouldn't hide. She wouldn't apologize for helping someone in pain. Even if that pain had a name like Deacon Sharp. And Sheila? She watched them both, waiting for the next crack to open. Because in her mind, this wasn't the end. It was only the first move.